This is Grant Harrison from the Waterboyz here with Tyler Newsome. Tyler, what about the water?
No, that's some high quality H2O right there.
Welcome to the season finale. Folks, I'm going home for Christmas. Juddy's going to Nova Scotia. Taylor's going to, well, Belfast. Folks, we'll see you in January after this one. So we decided to keep the tempo from last episode for our intro here with our episode with Matt Brassard. We'll get to him later. But Grant and friends now, since I'm going back to America.
Grant and pals.
Yeah, Grant and pals. And I'm leaving y'all in Canada. Tear. So, we'll get started here with the World Cup. Who has a better chance of winning this one? England or Argentina? Argentina plays the Dutch, and England play France.
I have a bet on Argentina personally, so I'm going to say Argentina. I think Messi's had a great career, and I just think the way this World Cup was set up from the start, we were either going to see Messi go all the way, or we were going to see Ronaldo go all the way. But I think Argentina's got a better shot than Portugal, so I'm going to go Argentina.
I mean, I'm Barca fan, so seeing Messi win would be the dream come true. But the Dutch are super strong, and that's going to be a hard matchup for the Argentina. As we saw, they lost to Saudi Arabia already this tournament.
It was an upset in the first game of the tournament. This tournament was filled with upsets.
I get that, but it's going to be a tough matchup for Argentina against the Dutch. You know, they struggle against Saudi Arabia.
It was the first game of the tournament.
I understand it was the first game of the tournament.
It was filled with upsets. Teams take time to settle in. They haven't lost since then, have they?
And no, they have not. But they had some pretty close games. And I don't think you can disagree with that.
It's football. It's the World Cup. The close games are everything unless you're Spain playing Costa Rica.
The only game that England has wavered in is the game against the U.S.
Yeah, you tied the U.S.
Yeah.
Tied the U.S.
I get that.
And the Dutch just spanked the U.S. too, so.
I get that. But the other games England has just cruised through. I mean, they're coming off a big round of 16 win. Obviously, France is as well. But
they're going to get whooped by France.
It's
not even a question about who's going to win, Argentina or England. You have to make it past the round of 16 to be in that question, Justin.
I think that England has more star players than what France does.
Mbappe, Dembele, Griezmann, Giroud. You're telling me that England has more star players? Harry Kane just scored his first goal of the World Cup.
Harry Kane, Rashford.
Just scored his first goal of the World Cup.
Harry Kane, Rashford, Saka, Grealish, Declan Rice, Raheem Sterling. All of these guys up front are so dangerous and can score at any given time.
You're telling me more dangerous than France's top?
I would say yes.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Overall, the group, yes.
Considering that Kane, once again, just scored his first goal.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about Harry Kane. Harry Kane...
But you should be worried about Mbappe.
No. I think that at the end of the day, both quarterfinal matchups between Argentina and the Dutch and England and France will be insanely good matchups. The Dutch are a lot stronger than what people think they are, and it's going to come down to either Messi's going to have to be Messi to get through that game. And I think, honestly, England had a rough go in the Euro 2020 or Euro 2021. And they learned from that. The missed penalties, everything that they did that in there, they learned from that. And now they're ready to show the world that they're gonna take off the defending World Cup champions.
I think France-England is going to be the better game of the two. I don't think Argentina-Netherlands, not that it's going to be a bad game, I just don't think the Netherlands are going to do anything.
Both of them are going to be one-goal games, I think.
I think Argentina's got that. If I was a betting man, I'd say Argentina over England, or over the Netherlands, but if it comes to England-France, I'm confident in France, but I wouldn't be confident enough to put a big old dollar sign down on one of the teams because I feel like that's going to be, it could swing either way with the way this World Cup's gone. I'm France favorable, but with the upsets that have happened this whole World Cup, I think England it's going to be a very good game, but yes. I just think France is younger, they got the more energy, and they got better star power.
No, all right.
I disagree with that, but...
All right. Rounding the bases here, Phillies, after a sad World Series loss for him, is Trea Turner the missing piece for him?
100%.
Just signed
No.
11-year, $300 million, no trade clause.
No.
I think he's, well, for the field, yes. Their pitching didn't take that much of a hit, though, so far in the offseason.
No, they haven't. But I don't think that Trea Turner is enough.
Really?
I don't think he's enough. I really don't
They
think
already
he's
made the
enough.
World Series last year, and they just added one of the best shortstops in the game.
I get that. But you're trying to win the World Series, right? You're not just trying to make the World Series.
That's what I'm saying. They made the World Series already,
Yeah.
and now they add Trea Turner,
I get
and that's
that.
the kind of push that puts a team over the top. The man's making $300 million for a reason. He's the smoothest sliding criminal in the MLB, one of the best shortstops in the game, and the dude doesn't hit for necessarily power all the time. But when you get a guy who hits for average, doesn't strike out that much like Trea Turner, he's going to clear the bases time and time again for the Phillies, and that's what they were missing, was the run production. They have a lot of guys who can hit big, but they need guys who can also play a little bit small ball.
So I hear your point, but you got to remember, the Padres team we saw last year was not the full Padres team.
Fernando Tatis.
Yes. And do you think him coming back is good? Trea Turner is not as good as Tatis.
But he was
So-
with the Dodgers. Dodgers and Phillies are two different clubs
that.
here.
I get that, but Todd, I think a full, healthy Padres team beats the Phillies team.
I think the Padres have been oversold so far, and they haven't done really anything this offseason. Like, they're not making moves like the Phillies just made.
They made a great move. They didn't bring back Clevenger.
Mike Clevenger.
Yeah, they
He
didn't
went to
bring
the
him
White
back.
Sox, didn't he?
Yeah, 1 year. They didn't bring him back. Best move they made this offseason. And I think the Dodgers, you're obviously going to have to watch out for them.
They're going to put anything and everything they can get their hands on into Aaron Judge now.
No,
they
not
didn't get
even Aaron
Verlander.
Judge.
They didn't get
Did
DeGrom.
the top dog to get Carlos Correa.
Yeah, but they're also going to
So
want some.
that's a replacement for Trea Turner right there. And Carlos Correa was just as good as Trea Turner has been for the past, 5 years?
Yeah, that was the biggest head shaker
So-
of mine when he went to Minnesota. There was absolutely
Yeah.
nothing to do there.
So, the Dodgers and the Padres, I think are still better than the Phillies. I think the Phillies just had a better run. And not only to mention that, the Mets just signed Verlander, and
That's not going to do anything for the Mets.
a crazy stat is they won 101 games, and DeGrom only pitched in 5 wins last year. So, the Mets are going to be right back up there.
Yeah, but you can't expect Verlander to come out and deliver another sub-2 ERA season.
And that's just, I get that, but that's just 3 teams within the NL. That's not even
NL's
looking
gonna
at
be
the
strong.
AL. The AL is still strong.
Let them go to the NL. They're not coming to the Blue Jays. Let them go to the NL.
I know, but the NL's I don't think they're getting out of the NL this year. I'm sorry.
The
but,
Phillies?
Yeah, I don't think.
Oh.
I don't think they are.
Who would you pick then?
Who might be my preseason pick right now?
Yeah.
Probably the Padres. Yeah.
I think the Padres have been oversold since the start. Manny Machado's getting older every year goes by.
But
Fernando
Manny Machado's
Tatis is
an
still a wild
MVP
cannon.
finalist every year, so you might be getting older, but he's
And
still
their
an
starting
MVP.
pitcher rotation's getting old too. You Darvish ain't gonna have that many more seasons left to go ball.
I get that, but we're talking about this year. We don't care about the future. We're talking about this year. What does it mean? The Phillies aren't going to the. I don't think the Phillies are good enough to go to the World Series again.
You got Bryce Harper
They
at
won
an
on-
MVP caliber level right now. You're adding Trea Turner. You're keeping on.
They went on an incredible Cinderella run.
You add Trea Turner to a group that already has Real Muto. You have Harper. You have Castellanos. You have Schwaba.
Mm-hmm.
They still have Aaron Nola.
I think
The
that
only
they're
person
a
they really
good-
lost is Zach Eflin.
I think they're a good team, but do I think they're going to make it to the World Series again? No.
What team has gotten better than they have so far?
Well, the Padres, because they did.
They didn't do anything.
No.
Not bringing someone back
But
doesn't
they-
mean they're better.
Yes, it does.
Mike Clevenger, he signed a 1-year deal. He's going for a contract year.
They
Mike
made-
Clevenger
where-
is not a horrible
whoa,
pitcher.
Where did the Padres exit last year?
They're in the semis. Yeah,
against
the NLCS.
the Phillies. And who didn't they have? Exactly.
What do you mean exactly?
Tatis.
Tatisless San Diego. He's still a
And
wild
they,
cannon.
and they still made it to the NLCS. So,
They don't have the pieces that the Phillies added though. Their pitching's about equal, and they don't have the offensive pieces. You can't count on Manny Machado to keep producing MVP caliber seasons. Fernando is still a wild cannon, and think of the experience that lies in that Phillies locker room now.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. But
that Phillies locker room is stacked. They didn't lose. They added on
I
top
do
of
agree
their
with
star
that.
power already.
I do agree with that.
I can tell you this: the MVP of this upcoming season in the NL is going to come out of the Phillies organization. The MVP in the NL is going to come out of the Phillies organization, as well as the Phillies are going to the World Series.
No.
And
I
at least
can tell
two
you.
of their players will win Silver Slugger awards.
No.
Well,
But anyway.
yeah. Speaking of additions and subtractions, Aaron Judge expected to put pen to paper when this episode drops here on Wednesday. Where's he going?
Hopefully, like the reports on this are not fake, but yeah, he's supposed to sign Wednesday, and I personally could see him going to the Giants.
He's going home to the Bay. You think?
I think.
I don't think he's going back to New York.
No, I don't think he's
I
going
think
back
he's
to
done.
New York.
I think he's done with New York.
Yeah, New York's. I think New York's off the table right now. I'm not even.
Yeah, they re-signed their GM, but I don't think that was the thing that Aaron Judge was most concerned about. I don't think that locker room, as good as the Yankees are every season, seemingly, I don't think that locker room was as chemistry filled as others around the MLB.
No, it wasn't, and they're trying to get rid of Josh Donaldson right now.
Yeah, I don't think the Yankees are the home that Aaron Judge wants to return to. I don't think he wants to return back to that environment. I think he knows that every year he goes back now, playoffs are a guarantee pretty much. But once they get there, I don't think the Yankees have enough to get going. And I think that if he goes...
The pressure there is...
The pressure there is unreal.
Yeah.
And I think if he goes anywhere, he's either going home to the Bay, and he's going to just live in San Francisco, live that high life with his girl, or he's going to the Dodgers, an organization that's proven winners, proven to be probably the number one team in the MLB for worldwide fan base.
Yeah,
I
probably.
see so many LA hats around.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say those are fans. You know, sometimes people just get the LA hat because it's LA.
Yeah, I think that the pressure in LA is still as extreme as it is in New York. I just think it's different kind of pressure. I think the media is like Toronto media in New York, and they're down your throats, whereas the media in LA just loves the team so much, even if you're losing, you're getting coverage.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that if you look at it like New York, I think if he was to go and have 35 home runs next year, they'd be calling for his head to be chopped off because he didn't hit 60 like he did this year.
62, yeah.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? I think that's the level of pressure that he's under from New York, and I don't think he's going back to that. Who wants to play? And I get that some people want to play in New York.
I think he wants to have fun now, and I don't think New York's a fun place to play.
And I think if the Giants get him, they're possibly a playoff team, like they were 2 years ago when they surprised everyone and just went off. I think that this could be a playoff team, and possibly if they add a few more pieces in the next 2 years.
They're gonna need more pieces, not just Judge.
I get that, but they could be a World Series contending team.
Imagine, I think he's gonna be like Goudreau though. He's either gonna want to go home and he's gonna go to the Bay, or he's gonna go to LA. Because can you just imagine it? I would feel with him and Mookie Betts.
Well, it's just if that happens,
and then we get Cody Bellinger.
Then the league might veto it. I don't know.
Yeah, Mookie Betts and Aaron Judge, former LA competitors teamed up in LA.
All right, little change on the fly here. Should Trae Young not playing, and for that matter, not even showing up, scare some Hawks fans?
I think the coach should scare them more than anything.
You think the coach should scare them?
I think if you're messing with your star player like that, yes. Because without a Trae Young, the Atlanta Hawks are vetoed, basically. They're nothing. The Atlanta Hawks without Trae Young are nothing.
That's not true.
They're not a playoff team without him.
No, I agree with that, but they still got John Collins, and they just trade for...
a player that has been previously known for not wanting to be in Atlanta.
Yeah,
he's just kind of sticking there.
You got John Collins, and you got Murray that they traded for this offseason.
DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, DeJounte Murray. And I think that them together, him and Trae Young, were a fantastic backcourt. But... should it scare Hawks fans? Yes, 100% it should scare Hawks fans. Mm-hmm. I think that when you look at it, if this is the way your franchise players being treated,
get the coach out of there.
Well, I'm not saying that. Nate McMillan's a great coach, but he can't be doing this because you need Trae Young to stick around in Atlanta.
You need Trae Young more than you need anybody else in that organization.
Who's going to get you 40 every night? Trae Young. I think that...
He's your facilitator. He's your captain.
at the end of the day, like, Steph Curry wouldn't be treated like this for an injury. And just, like,
No.
to give some background, like, it was because of an injury. Like, he's the coach is, like, he wanted him, he said, you can either play off the bench or don't show up to the game at all. And I personally don't think that was the right decision.
You don't deliver an ultimatum to your franchise cornerstone.
Like, what was with that? And
it's not Ben Simmons over here.
yeah, like, really, though. Like, the man gets buckets. And, like, he's clutch. Like, I don't know why you would do that, but, you know, all to you. Like, all power to you. But, I mean, I see where he's coming from a team standpoint. If he is ready to go and he's not playing, then yes, he should be playing.
Also, no one knows his body better than him, though. Trae Young is not known to be, like, a guy who ruffles feathers in the locker room.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think that when you look at the end of the day, if the team doctors are saying he's good to go and everything, then why is he refusing to play? And at the end of the day, I think that should be the more scary part to Hawks fans. If he doesn't want to play, why doesn't he want to play?
Is he not getting along with DeJounte? Is it him and the coach are having
Yeah,
some
like,
beef?
is it something behind the scenes that no one has reported yet? Because that would be the end of the world for the Hawks, I think.
I feel like the Hawks are in the same kind of boat as the Broncos. Like, they were supposed to be real good, but they're just still, even the pieces they had, they're just not clicking the way they should. Because honestly,
middle of the pack or below average.
Hawks on paper, top 3 in the Eastern Conference, I think.
On paper, probably
yes.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. And they're what? 9, 10, I think.
Most of the times they're chasing a play-in spot.
Yeah, so it's just crazy. But anyway, yeah, that's just the thoughts.
All right.
Figure it out, Atlanta.
So, is it time to say Nazem Kadri got overpaid from his year in Colorado?
No.
I think yes.
No.
I think. How can you say no?
16 points, he's 8-8. It's not his problem, it's all of Calgary right now.
Whoa.
Jacob Markstrom came in and said, I'm crap at hockey right now. Kadri might be having a slow start.
That doesn't affect the goalie.
None of Calgary is having a great start to the season as they were figured to be. Huberdeau was dealing with injuries. I just think that Calgary has stuff to figure out, and I think once they figure that out and the locker room chemistry is built up, I think you're going to see not only Naz, but I think you're going to see the whole team start to succeed.
Okay, so looking at his numbers from Toronto and Calgary, they're basically on par. Then you went to Colorado, and you put him on probably one of the greatest teams ever made on paper, where he overperformed and just outplayed what he normally would because he's playing with unreal players. I'm not saying
he was doing stuff in Colorado. He was part of that unreal team.
I'm not saying he's not good. I'm not saying he's not good at all. But I'm not going to sit here and say that you can't tell me playing with players like Rantanen and Landeskog and McKinnon, I should add, and Makar, and Bowen Byram, and Samuel Girard, and Devin Taves, that he was not accelerating from that and benefiting from that a lot. And his point totals looked a lot better with them because of that.
I think, yes, he was on a very good team, but he was part of that very good team. That team's not as good without Kadri. And you're asking if they overpaid? They got him by 7x7. It's not like we're talking about a $9, $10, $11 million player.
I get that, but you're talking
$7 million a season is a decent bargain for him, I think.
No, $7 million.
That's a fair deal.
$7 million is too much. Because, like,
you look at the market, though. It's not. This guy's not a $9 million man. He's a $7 million man.
No,
That's not bad.
He's $5 million man.
Not after a season. Not after a season like that. He's off a cup.
I get that.
And
you know what he did?
You
know what he did? He was average. He was like probably about a 50-point player in his time in Toronto, and then he had great years in Colorado. Not like great years, but last year, contract year, played amazing. Got paid. I think that is where you have to look at it, because it was in a contract year that he had his best year possible. Like, is that not right? Like, he didn't have great years before his contract year, and then he goes in his good years, but not great years. His great year came in his contract year. And what happens when you have a great year in your contract year? They overpay you. Look at Lucic. I'm not saying that Kadri and Lucic are on the same level because that's not even close. But you get what I'm saying.
Not even a little bit. 7x7 is not I think it's a fair deal for Kadri. And you're looking at this. You're forgetting amid all the factors. He had a few years in Colorado and then went off like that. He's in his first year of a 7-year deal with Calgary, who just basically reshaped their entire offense. You got rid of their 2 cornerstones in Gaudreau and Tkachuk. You brought in Huberdeau, you brought in Kadri, you brought in Weegar.
Okay.
You're resetting the entire style of play in Calgary because you're basically, other than Elias Lindholm, who's left? Mangiapane's having a down year. You're looking at bringing in Kadri and Huberdeau in that top 6.
Okay.
Let's revamp that style of play. They're not Tkachuk and Gaudreau.
Okay.
Two different styles of play. So they have to figure out the chemistry in Calgary. They have to figure out the locker room style. They have to figure out their new play style. And they're still doing fairly well. Kadri's putting up 8 and 8 and 16. 16 points in...
You think Daryl Sutter's like just changing the play style? No, like,
Daryl Sutter has the same play style.
Yeah, he doesn't change
They're
the
learning
play
how
style.
to play in his system, though, too.
I agree with that, but I think that he doesn't change his play style. He's not going to adapt to bringing in Huberdeau and Kadri.
The chemistry is building, and they're building to play under his style. Colorado and Calgary are 2 very different organizations. And Huberdeau and Kadri are both learning how to go. Weegar's learning how to go. Every player that's been brought into Calgary before the season is struggling a little bit. And the players that have been there are struggling because of that struggle. They're all still meshing together. This doesn't click in 1 year.
It's more so of like a New York Islanders situation then.
Oof, no.
Yes, in the sense of team wise, like it's a New York Islanders situation because they're not playing as well. They're not putting the points.
The New York Islanders are not even in the same category as the Flames.
I'm talking about like points wise. They're not putting up they don't put up the same amount of points that they did before they went to that team. Like they put up more points before they go to that team. So maybe it's the Calgary way, but I think that Kadri got overpaid.
$7 million is not overpaid. $8 million, $9 million would be an overpay.
No,
I think he's got improving to do.
Yeah.
But I'm not giving up on him. I'm not giving up on Calgary.
I don't think it's the end of the world, but I think that it's still an overpayment.
All right, I got to put a stop to this because we got to go to the NFL. Joe Burrow is now 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. Who's winning the battle?
I think
we know who won it last year.
I think that question actually says something different.
Our producer wrote the question as, does Joe Burrow own Patrick Mahomes?
Thank you very much.
Yes. I think that's a heck of a stretch. But who's winning the battle? Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes?
Well, I think that Patrick Mahomes is owned by Joe Burrow. Yeah. And I think that it's pretty obvious. Like, Joe Burrow is just... Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is one of a kind. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. He's one of a kind.
And his brother's a real catch.
There you go.
Have you heard from him this year, though?
Patty? Or
His
Jackson?
brother.
No, Jackson. You want to know why he's been quiet?
Exactly. So why are we talking about Jackson anymore?
Because Patrick told him to shut up.
Because it's embarrassment.
Yes. So anyway, moving on. Joe Burrow owns Patty Mahomes.
He's too cool for school.
No, he's too clutch. That's what it is.
You know what it is? Is Rocky winning all those fights. On paper, yeah, Rocky's getting beat up by Russians and professional boxers.
Rocky is a professional boxer.
Well, he made himself out to be one. But, no.
This is Rocky Balboa.
Rocky the underdog. Rocky the underdog. That's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, great quarterback. Rocky, good boxer. But no.
Who won the battle last year in the playoffs?
He's
what team was in the Super
3-0
Bowl?
against Patrick Mahomes. You cannot sit there.
He's lucky against a 3-quarter team.
No.
A two-quarter team. A two-quarter
They
team.
went 3 quarters last night.
What happened? What happened? I can tell you exactly what happened. Who did they lose in the offseason?
Mahomes.
The cheetah.
Sorry.
What?
They lost to Burrow. Yes, obviously.
No.
No, who did they lose in the
Who did
offseason?
Chiefs lose?
Who did the Chiefs lose on
Their
the...
best wide receiver.
No, not the... I'm not talking about the wide receiver. I'm talking about the defense right now. Sorry, my bad. That's
The Badger himself.
Yeah,
they
the
lost
Badger.
him. Who could shut it down.
And that was quite obvious.
And we grabbed a great rookie who's going to come up through the ranks right now.
But he's nothing like the Badger. You can't.
He's nothing like the Badger.
They
Yes,
can't,
obviously.
They can't pass.
Tyree
They can't hold them. You think they can hold T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Tyler Boyd?
A group of first years at quarterback is not going to compare to a great vet surrounded by strong presence. Obviously not.
Who does Patrick Mahomes have other than Travis Kelce?
We're talking defense now.
Like the defensive side of the ball, like they're screwed.
That's what I've ever heard.
And,
We could be comfortable 3 quarters last year. Now we can't.
I think
and now
Cincinnati's
Patty
a better
Mahomes.
defense, though. Still,
Patty Mahomes can't take
I'm not saying-
an average wide receiver and make him Tyreek Hill. He just can't do that. So, in the biggest moments of the game, where you used to be able to throw to Tyreek Hill, what does Patrick Mahomes have to do?
find Travis Kelce.
He's got to launch it downfield and hope to God that someone catches it. So, if you look at the other side of the field, they have Jamar Chase. They call him Mr. Uno.
Exactly. Okay, here's what I'm going to say. We're talking a lot about defense and wide receivers. The question is Joe Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes.
I'm taking Joe Burrow right now.
Patrick Mahomes leads a team.
He's not finishing games, though. He's not finishing games. Joe Burrow's finished the games 3 times against him.
He put up more in 2 quarters, Patrick Mahomes, than most teams put up in a game.
I get that, but he's not finishing the game.
How can you expect him to finish a game when they give up 10-point, 20-point leads, the defense? Patrick Mahomes isn't making tackles in the backfield.
But Patrick Mahomes should be talented enough to take the team then. I'm not disagreeing that he's not good. He's probably the best player in the NFL right now. But he can't seem to finish the game when it's a close game right now. And it's not because, I'm not just saying it's because of him. Like, he's going to make the throw.
Okay, so let's just say it is just him. Just quarterback position. Nothing else. Who are you taking?
Mahomes for quarterback, Bengals for team.
Yeah.
Okay, so Patrick Mahomes wins 3-0. You saw that.
He wins the debate for quarterback.
Yep, there you go.
But
That's what the question says. Joe Burrow or Patty Mahomes.
But
there's no cornerbacks in there. There's no running backs, wide receivers.
Joe Burrow does
or Patty
own him.
Mahomes. Does Joe Burrow own Patty Mahomes?
I would say the
Patty
Bengals
Mahomes.
own
That's 2 quarterbacks.
Mahomes.
That's 2 quarterbacks, yeah.
I would say that they do own him.
Bengals as a team better than Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
But Patrick Mahomes or Joe
25
Burrow?
guys are better than one guy.
Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow? Patrick Mahomes.
But what you're playing around with right there is 1A, 1B. You're not playing around with what?
Okay,
one.
no. Mahomes
Who's
is...
a better hockey player right now? Right now.
Wait,
Right now. It's the last 2 weeks.
You're not
We can play
playing-
around with a lot of questions.
You're not playing. No, but what I'm saying is, it's not like it's a difference between like a 1 and a 3. It's a 1A, 1B.
No, it's not.
How?
Mahomes is 1. Mahomes is 1.
Okay.
No one else is 1. Mahomes is 1. If you're saying 1A, 1B, I'd say Mahomes, Allen. If you're saying 1 and 2, then you have Mahomes, Burrow. Burrow is not in the same tier as Mahomes.
Who are you taking down the stretch right now?
Mahomes is a quarterback. Bengals is the team.
I mean,
I like the Bengals over the Chiefs, but I like Mahomes over
This
them.
year, what's gonna happen? Who are you taking? Okay, who do you
No
trust?
matter what
who do you
season it
trust?
is, you can't tell me Mahomes has been underperforming. Look at the games last year. Mahomes could go 9-8 in the regular season. He gets to the playoffs. It's a different kind of beast comes out of Mahomes.
I bet you he doesn't make it.
Because the Bills should have beat the Chiefs last year.
I bet you doesn't
But-
make it to the AFC Championship this year.
All right. I couldn't help but get involved in that one. I'm hoping you're going to get involved with Matt Brassard here. Spoiler alert, they lost to UNB. I don't care. He does, though. But Matt Brassard coming at you right now. Coming at you with Matt Brassard. How we doing, Matty?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, fine and dandy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a big win over UDM there.
Yeah.
Now you got UNB coming up. This episode will be out by the time the game's over.
Yeah.
But how are we feeling?
We're feeling great. Obviously, I think we're as confident as we've ever been on this team since I've been here at least. We've been very successful the first half of the year. But like I said, UNB is the only team we haven't beat, and that's the team everybody wants to beat. So
Yeah.
we're feeling good. We had a good practice yesterday and today, working on some things, getting ready for tomorrow, and I think we're all excited. There's no better way to head into the break than to beat them and jump up the rankings even more.
So, I mean, they also have a tough schedule because they play UDM tonight and then they have to come to you guys tomorrow.
Yeah.
Both games are on the road. I mean, does that play an advantage for you guys?
Yeah, I think anytime you're at home, it's an advantage. We've kind of said too, like UNB and Moncton are kind of tough teams to play, but at the same time, we're a tough team to play. So we kind of have a motto that they got to come here. It's not that, we got to play UNB tonight or we got to play Moncton tonight. They got to play us.
Mm-hmm.
So our rink's a tough rink to play in. It's loud. Nobody likes traveling here. It's the farthest travel for every team in the league. We kind of have a little joke on our team. We like to call it Shutter Island because nobody wants to come here, and it's tough to get out of here with 2 points. So
yeah. So let's go right back to the beginning, where you started playing hockey. Let's just. When did you start playing hockey?
I started when I was about 7 years old, probably. I'm from Barrie, Ontario, so It's an hour north of Toronto. It's a pretty popular hockey town there. They got a junior team, and I started playing on an outdoor rink, kind of like everybody else. It wasn't really in organized hockey for my first couple of years when I was starting to skate and everything. But my parents got me into it. I have an older brother that played too, so got a lot of practice in, and made the AAA team in novice after playing house league for a couple of years, and kind of just took off from there. I played AAA all the way through midget, and led into my junior career.
Yeah, so you got drafted by Barrie.
Yeah.
I mean, as a hometown boy from there, how big was that moment for you?
Yeah, it was unreal. We, my draft year, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew I was a pretty good player. I was confident in myself. I wanted to pursue the OHL. Talked to a whole bunch of teams in my draft year, and was fortunate enough to get picked by Barrie, which was my hometown. And like you said, I grew up watching guys like Mark Scheifele and Tanner Pearson, Aaron Ekblad. Those are guys that played there when I was growing up watching them. And Dale Howarchuk was the head coach too, so it's kind of surreal when you grow up watching those guys and then you get to be a part of that. My first year I played in Barrie. I played with some pretty special players. Mackenzie Blackwood was our goalie. He's in the NHL now. And then Rasmus Anderson, Andrew Mangiapane were on the team. 2 guys on the Flames right now. Kevin LeBanc was another guy on our team, and then Brendan Lemieux. So a couple guys that were very successful in the NHL. It was nice to learn from those guys and kind of see what they do in every day in practice and everything. And obviously having Dale Howarchuk, who's NHL Hall of Famer, a legend in the NHL, as your head coach, there's not much more you can ask for as a 17-year-old kid.
Now, what's it like now, thinking back, that you've played alongside guys who are right now playing in the National Hockey League? What's that feeling like?
Yeah, at the time, it's kind of, you're just kind of happy to be there. They're good players in the league at the time, but you never really think, how good they're going to be when they get older. So, like I said, you kind of learn from them at the time. Anytime they can give you little pointers here and there, it's you listen. You're all ears when you're that young. And looking back now, it's very it's an honor to play with those guys because they're having a lot of success in the NHL. And then when I got older, I played with a couple guys who I was a lot closer with. They were my age, and one guy that's he's one of the best players in the league right now is Jason Robertson. So I got to play with him in Niagara, and he's lighting up the NHL right now. So there's another guy there that kind of, when you're playing with him, you're like, yeah, he's really good, but then you kind of move on and you see how good he's doing in the NHL, and you're like, geez, you don't know how good he was going to turn out to be, but
you played with
played with a handful of those guys.
You sit here and say it was just playing with them. It was just every day. You didn't know how the future was going to be. But did any one of the players stick out as a special? You knew that he was going to make the NHL at least.
I knew a bunch of these guys at some point would make the NHL just because they were so dominant in junior. Mm-hmm. Whether their games would have transitioned well in the National Hockey League was a different story.
That's always hard to predict.
Yeah, exactly. but when you're a junior and you're playing with them, you're not really thinking like that. You're just thinking like, wow, these guys are good for our team. And then you move on, you're like, oh yeah, like I wonder how they're going to do when they turn pro. But one guy I knew would do very well, and he's dealt with some injuries I think right now, but he was good when he was playing, was Mackenzie Blackwood, because he's a freak in the gym, he's a freak on the ice, he's just a massive guy that covers the entire net. And he was, you don't use the term man amongst boys and as a goalie, but he was special in junior. He stole a lot of games for us. And when I played with LeBanc, he was the leading scorer in the CHL, so you knew he was going to do something special. Mangiapane had back-to-back 50-goal seasons, and then Jason Robertson was the same. He led the CHL in scoring, scored like a goal a game on our team. Did very well at World Juniors, and these guys are going to do well, but like I said, it's so hard to predict when you're in junior how they're going to transition.
Would you say he's the hottest player in the NHL right now?
Yeah, I mean,
we debated.
I definitely say it like he seems like he's scoring 1 or 2 goals every game, but
he just put up a hattie.
Yeah, he scored 3 last night.
He's got 8 in his last 5.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, no, he's. It's kind of funny because when he first got called up, I think I messaged him and I said, I'm going to pick you up off waivers in my fantasy league. And he took off ever since. Like his first year in the league, his first full season, he scored 41 goals, which is, like, you don't see that very often nowadays.
That was his rookie year. He was, 22 goals in, 50 games?
Yeah, like, he got called up at the start of the 1 year, lit it up, and then his first full season was last year, and he had 41. So it's, like I said, like, ever since, I think Matthews was probably the last guy to score 40 in his first full season.
Yeah.
So with a lengthy career in the O that you had, which of those big names stuck out most to you as a vet from the leadership perspective?
Well, like I said, Blackwood was probably one of the guys that I most expected would be successful in the NHL. Yeah. But they were all good leaders. Like, a lot of guys... they don't lead vocally as much. They all just lead by example. Like, they're the last guys off the ice. Like, LeBanc and Mangiapane, they played on the same line. You'd always hear them in the room in between periods. It's either bickering or it's what can we do better, all this. And they're staying on the ice after practice. They're the last guys off the ice shooting pucks and everything. And they're more leaders just by example. It's not really a guy like speaking up or anything, because none of those guys I mentioned were a captain either. So it's kind of like they're just the guys that lead your team on the ice, and they'll never be the guys that are going to be off the ice first after practice or never missing workouts, all that stuff.
So after Barrie, you got traded to Oshawa, is that correct?
Yeah.
And were you expecting it, or was it kind of a blindside move?
No, I wasn't really expecting it. We had a really good team my first year. I didn't play a whole lot, but I was on the team. I got 30 games in, and the rest just practicing and being around those guys. But the following year we had a big transition, because that's how it works in junior. Usually when you have a good team, the next year kind of things funnel off. So we weren't doing very well. My GM had called me in the office and he said, it was kind of like, I know you're from Barrie, but there are a couple teams calling about you, because I was a young guy that was doing pretty well on a not so good team. And he just asked me, I think he said there was 2 teams. It was Oshawa and Ottawa. And he told me that there were offers on the table there, and if I would be okay with going there. And I think he just kind of wanted to talk to me about it, because being a Barrie kid, a local kid, it was kind of like...
they're the toughest players to pair with.
Yeah, right? Like, I got all my family there and my friends that I went to high school with and everything. So he was really good about it, and I told him I'd be okay with either one. Oshawa was a little closer, so I was fortunate enough that Oshawa was the deal that took place. And that's kind of where I took off in my junior career. I had a lot of success there. I loved my teammates. I loved my coaches. And that's kind of where things took off for me in my junior career.
Now, before you left Barrie, what's it like having Dale Hawerchuk as a head coach? Was it first starstruck? He was hard to focus on the fact that he was your coach instead of focusing on the fact that he's a Hall of Famer?
So growing up, he had a son that was my age too that played on Barrie when I was there. So I knew his son. I'd hang out with him a couple times. So I had met Dale a couple times prior, but never on the ice or anything, but like growing up watching Barrie my whole life, and he was the coach. It's kind of like, well, it'd be so cool to play for him one day, like a guy like that. There's not a lot of junior coaches with his resume, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, he's the type of guy that whatever he would tell you, you just assume is right and do whatever he wants from you. So he expected a lot from guys, but it was an honor to play for him. I was very sad when I heard the news of him passing away, but yeah, like it's all great memories with him. So I was very fortunate to spend some time playing for him.
It'd be an amazing guy to be under his wing for the first start of your junior
Yeah,
career.
for sure. Like there's nobody that had more. There's only a handful of guys you can say had more success than him in junior and in the NHL.
Well, it'd be almost like when St. Louis was brought in with Canadians. That
Yeah.
boys were like, you can't not give that guy respect.
Yeah, no, there's all sorts of coaches. There's former players that are good coaches, and then there's coaches that turn into good coaches. Maybe they weren't the go-to guys on their team when they played, but they just have a big knowledge of the game, and he was both. So he's super smart, and he was a top player.
On a lighter note, draft night. Walk us through the phone call.
NHL Draft night?
Draft night.
I didn't go to the draft. It was in Chicago that year. I had a good feeling I was going to get drafted. I talked to a bunch of teams. Vancouver I talked to twice. They were the first team I ever met with during the draft season. But it was unreal. It was the second day of the draft, obviously, so it was kind of an all-day thing as opposed to the first rounds just at night. But I think I was on the ice in the morning just to kind of get my head off things, and then my whole family came over in the afternoon. We watched the last couple of rounds, and it was funny because I think my dad had said he had heard, because usually when you get to the later rounds, they kind of, they'll mention one kid here, talk about him for 5 minutes, go to commercial break. And my dad, he said he thought he heard from the Oshawa Generals, and I was like, I didn't hear anything. And we couldn't see anything on the screen. And then I got a phone call from my agent, and he just said, congratulations, Vancouver just picked you. So it was unreal. Probably one of the best days of my life to date. Just there's not, I've talked about it with a couple of my buddies before and my family. It's like a lot of people say you get drafted and you don't sign. Like it's kind of like there's so many guys that happens to, and it's forget about. But you got to think like there's 210 guys every year in the entire world that get drafted, and to be under that category of being one of those guys, even if I wasn't signed, I never signed a contract, moved on to play in their organization. It's just something cool to have with you for the rest of your life. So that was like I said, one of the best days of my life. And a couple minutes later, I got a call from Trevor Linden, who was I think he was the president. I don't think he was the GM, but he's a legend in the game, and he gave me a call and just said congratulations, and that's kind of when everything sunk in.
So your now teammate Kyle Maximovich also went to a camp in Vancouver.
Yeah.
He said it was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Was it brutal for you?
Vancouver, so I went to Vancouver twice. I went to their camp twice, and I went to Columbus as well. Kyle was actually in Columbus with me. But from what I've heard and witnessed, Vancouver is probably the worst training camp
That's
in the NHL.
And why was it for you?
It's just the amount of on-ice testing, off-ice testing. I know they had a new head coach there when I was there, and he was really all about, getting in shape for training camp, because I think a lot of coaches nowadays are old school still. Like they use training camp as a way to get in shape, whereas I know nowadays it's like you prep your whole summer to be ready for training camp. But I know back in the day it wasn't like that. It was kind of like you show up to training camp and that's where you start getting in shape. So like we had to do an on-ice beep test. We had to do another on-ice skating test, and then off the ice we had to do 5 miles on a salt bike, which is terrible. But it's all to push you. They want to see how you do. They want to see what kind of shape you're in. I know we did a development camp. We did a mountain run too, which is, I think it's like 4 kilometers straight uphill on a mountain. And
I heard about this.
It's called the Gross Grind.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
How'd you do on the assault bike?
I think their kind of point they wanted everybody to be at was like under 12 minutes or something, and I think there was maybe 3 guys that got under 12 minutes, and 2 of them were the Sedins. So I know I want to say I was under like the 13-minute mark, probably the 12:50 or something. I don't really remember, but
Not quite close enough to the Sedin twins.
no, nobody was on the level that they were on. Like they every single test they were the best.
Well, they probably train in unison all summer long.
Yeah,
Up at 5 a.m. together.
The one thing I heard when I was there is that they will win every single test at camp, which you know, that's a lot of things you don't see when you watch them on TV is how much work they put in behind the scenes.
They wouldn't be competing against each other. It'd be the 2 of them competing against everybody else.
That's at the tail end of their careers.
Yeah, like I think my first year at camp was the year that they retired, and they're still crushing everybody in the fitness testing, which is unbelievable.
So Maxie also said when no scouts were looking, he snuck away to throw up.
Oh, did he?
Did you?
I don't think I ever threw up, but I remember my second year I had shoulder surgery on my left shoulder, and I thought I was getting out of it, but I was wrong because they told me to do it with one arm instead. So the assault bike is you're going, it's like this, you're pedaling and pushing. Yeah. So I had to do it like this my second year, and I was probably 2 months out of surgery. So I thought I was getting off the hook, but no, they still want you to do it. So no, I don't think I threw up.
Yeah, and usually like halfway through the assault bike, it's like, oh, my legs are killing me. I can really push here.
No, yeah, that's not the case.
Yeah,
you
no.
you gotta go both. You gotta go both legs and arms.
Yeah,
yeah.
Damn, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
But so looking at after you got drafted, you finished out your junior career, and then you played a season correctly in the ECHL.
Yeah.
How was that, and what was the experience playing in the States?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. After my OA year in junior, I was in Niagara. Me and my captain in Oshawa got traded there to go on a little run, but we didn't end up winning or anything. So what was next was kind of up in the air with me. I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew Vancouver had already notified me that they weren't going to sign me. So my agent and I were working on a couple things. I got invited to Columbus's camp, went there, and then I went to Vegas's AHL camp.
I wanted to just for a quick, was Torts
was there, yeah.
And I just thought of this right now. How was that?
So he was good with us. I never went to the main camp with all the players. It was I went to development camp and then the rookie tournament, and he would come on the bench and shoot the shit with everybody. But he
didn't rip into anyone.
No. He was just kind of there to see everybody, and from everything I saw from him, he seemed like a great guy, super nice. But I know he has some very hard training camps. I watched the Philadelphia Flyers one this year.
They were all on the ice.
Yeah,
no pucks
for the first couple days.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool to see a guy like that too in person, because you see he's this big bad villain on TV, but you know he's a great coach. Like he's had a ton of success. Yeah.
All right, tell me if I'm wrong here, but Elite Prospects has your 2019-2020 season as split between 3 teams: Fort Wayne, Wichita, and UPI.
Yeah.
So walk me through those 2 trades, both to Wichita and to UPI from Fort Wayne.
Yeah. So after Columbus's camp, my agent had called me and said I was going to go to Vegas's AHL team's camp, which was the Chicago Wolves at the time. Yeah. So I went there. I had a pretty good camp there. I played a couple exhibition games with them, but I got sent down to their ECHL team, which was in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So I signed there. I played 1 exhibition game there, hurt myself. I came back. Thought I played a couple good games. I only played 3 games there, but I think I did pretty well for my first pro games. And same thing, it was kind of out of nowhere. I got called into the office. They said they traded me to Wichita. So I spent about, I think, 11 games total in Wichita, and then the school package that the OHL offers you only have a certain amount of time to use it before it expires. So it's pretty valuable. Like, we get all our schooling paid for and our fees and books and everything. So you don't want to miss out on that. So I knew I had to make that decision before Christmas whether I wanted to use that or else I would have had to sit out. So just talked with my parents, and I talked with Maxie a lot too, because he was here already for that year, and he wanted me to come here, and Forbes was talking to me quite a bit, so I decided to leave Wichita right before Christmas, and come here. So
Were they upset with that decision?
no, I don't think they were upset. The thing about the ECHL is there's a lot of transition all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many players that they can choose from to play there, and if you look at any ECHL's team on Elite Prospects or Hockey DB on a given year, there's probably 35, 45 guys on your roster each year playing. There's a guy that'll play 3 games, a guy that'll play 6 games.
Yeah.
Call guys up for 1 game, and then they'll have like 20 forwards, 15 D, and 5 goalies on a team each year that just come in and out of the lineup all the time.
So, well, before we move on, I just got to say Kansas City Mavericks are the best team in the coast there.
Yeah. If Buffalo had a team, they'd be the best team.
Okay.
If we're going off that.
Okay, yeah. We'll get to Chiefs, Bills.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at UPEI in general, you came to UPEI. I mean, I wouldn't say you got off to the best start because this is obviously your best season.
Yeah.
But you still came in, provided great minutes.
Yeah.
And what was kind of the feeling like in your first year here?
It's always anytime you step into a new league, it's a transition. Like there's not a lot of guys. Like we were kind of talking about it earlier. There's not a lot of guys that can just step into the league and do well right away.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me some time to adjust to this league. Part of my game is I've played power play my whole junior career, and I wasn't doing that when I first got here because we had Owen Hedrick here, who's one of the best D in Canada. So, but I was totally fine with that. Like I knew the situation coming in, and I knew I would get my opportunity. So, I think I just took some time to adjust, and I think I've been off to a great start so far this year, and the team's playing really well, which is the most important part. So
yeah, just like I know this year's been amazing, but what was kind of the mindset coming into this year? Because up to this year, like at UPI, I don't think like you yourself would say you didn't even do what you wanted to do, but this year, like you've taken it to the next level. It feels like.
Yeah, like obviously we're hosting nationals this year. We know we're going to have that opportunity in March, regardless of what happens. But our mindset was we wanted to get there on our own. We didn't want to just get there because we're hosting. So I know everybody put in a big summer. Me personally, I went home this summer, back home to Barrie. I trained with the trainers that and training group that I grew up training with through junior and everything. So I prepared myself the best way to be ready for this season because I knew how important this year is for us and for the city of Charlottetown and everything. So it's something we've been looking forward to since our first year, and it's gotten pushed back all the time because of COVID and everything. So the year finally came, and I think it was more excitement than anything for me. Like I just wanted to be the best ability or best version of myself to help the team because I know how excited the whole team was.
Talking about going back to Barrie this summer, it seems that you played in a quote-unquote barn burner, I guess is what it is, with Johnny T, and you just had to post it on Instagram. And what was it like playing with him? And I guess that's really...
So Barrie, the one of the parliament members or former parliament members in Barrie, he puts on a charity game every year at the Molson Center where the Colts play, and they usually get a handful of NHLers from around the area to play. I've played probably 3 years in it. I'm not one of the NHLers obviously, but they fill in guys that are still playing, whether it's pro, minor pro hockey, anywhere, like that are just local guys because they want the competition to be good still. So it's a big fundraiser for the local hospital in Barrie, and John Tavares was there this year. He was the big attraction, and I've played. They've had McDavid there in the past. I got Robertson to come 2 years ago when the year after I played with him. So they've had some big names there, and John Tavares was the latest this year, and it was cool meeting him. I actually, when I first got to Oshawa, I lived at the same house that he lived at when he was there because he played junior there. So that was kind of the icebreaker I had when I met him. Shook his hand and said, I actually lived at your old billet place for a bit. So talked about that for a bit, but he's a super nice guy. It's, he's under so much pressure all the time from the media in Toronto, and it's cool to see him just, shooting the shit with guys in the room because you don't see that when you're watching TSN or Sportsnet or anything, right?
Having a young Tavares type season now this year too.
No, he's been great this year. Yeah.
So you yourself this year have, I think, 3 goals, 18 assists, and 16 or 17 games or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, what has been the key for you this season, you feel like, playing on this team?
Yeah, like we have a great team for one. So the team's having a ton of success, which means individuals are going to have a lot of success, obviously. So I think I was watching the game on Wednesday, and I think Norman, the commentator, said there's 11 guys or something that have had career years already, and we're not even at Christmas, which is unbelievable. So, and that's not including our two leading scorers, Kyle and Lash. So. When the team's having success, all the individual success will come. So I think that's been the biggest thing. And, personally, stepping into that role that Hetty kind of played the last 2 years when he was here, I get to play on the power play with those guys, Laj, Maxie, TJ, and Carson. It's our power play unit, and we've had a lot of success this year. So, the points will come with all that. But the most important thing is that we're sitting at, 12-4 right now. Second place in the league and 6th in Canada, so we couldn't be happier with where we're at right now.
Top 10 in Canada for AUS hockey is pretty good.
Yeah.
If you had to give one thing you guys need to improve upon going into the second half of the year to become the dominant team in the AUS, because I would say UMB is the biggest hurdle right now.
Yeah.
What is it that you guys think that you have to do to get to where they are?
Yeah, one thing we definitely focused on at the start of the year was our road games. We had to be more successful on the road. Because in this league, road games are so important because you only play 30 games, right? So we've done a very good job taking care of home ice, and this semester we've done a very good job winning on the road, which has kind of been a struggle of ours lately. But going forward, just consistency and having our confidence at a high, because we know we're a good team. It's so easy to get down on yourselves if we have a bad period and everything. So it's all just consistency. Not consistency game wise, but if we have a bad period, make sure that we come out the next period and just dominate like we know we can. Because we truly believe we can dominate any team in our league if we're at our best.
Now, what was it like in the locker room after? I remember the game was, they leave 9-1 or 9-2 against St. Mary's University.
Yeah, that was the game. It was the first time we played St. Mary's.
Yeah, they were 4-0 at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably the game that our confidence jumped up a notch, because I think we were 1-3 at that point.
And they had a lot of form at you guys on that too.
Yeah. So we were 1-3 at that point. They were 4-0, and we obviously knew it was a huge game.
And you smacked them.
Yeah. they had to come to the island and play. Nobody likes coming to the island.
They couldn't handle each other island.
No.
I would agree that you guys have bought in everything that you're saying, but the biggest notice or difference that I've seen this year is the penalty minutes.
Yes.
Penalty minutes have been cut in half.
Yeah, so can't say that wasn't a big issue with us last year. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the biggest message Forby had for us heading into this year, was we want to be in that top percentile of disciplined teams. So it's way easier to play the game 5-on-5, and we've done a really good job of that this year, and we got to continue that, especially tomorrow, because we know UMB's got a really good power play. So, but yeah, like I said, Forby's, that's something he stressed with us big time. We've done a very good job at that, and I think as long as we continue to do that and play teams 5-on-5, there's not a lot of teams that can skate with us. So, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for hopping on the show. This brings us to our lightning round.
All right.
5 easiest questions of the show.
Okay.
Hopefully, little to no controversy.
Okay.
We've had a few controversial questions in the past, but hopefully we can avoid it this time.
Okay.
All right. I know Fort Wayne, Indiana, and Wichita, Kansas are not known for their food scene, their nightlife, their scenic views of the cornfields.
Yeah.
Not known for anything. But which one has a marginally better food scene? Fort Wayne or Wichita?
We didn't really eat out a whole lot when I was there. I would probably say Wichita, just because the state of Kansas is probably a lot more well known for food than Indiana.
Well, it's actually Kansas City, Missouri, but...
I feel like he's sucking up to you right there for the Chiefs-Bills thing.
No, I would be doing the opposite, because I don't like the Chiefs.
That
But yeah, I don't know. We didn't really eat out a lot when I was there. So that's kind of tough for me to answer.
All right. Well, hopefully this is a bit easier. Juniors, you had two Tillies.
Oh.
Both against the Owen Sound attack. What do you got against them?
We had a little highway rivalry with them in Barrie, so maybe that was part of it. But I'm not much of a fighter. I got bad shoulders, so the first time I ever fought, I hurt my shoulder originally, and then I think the second time I ever fought, I re-hurt it, so I kind of stopped after that.
Which one did you do better in then?
Honestly, the first one. If you look at the second one, I think it's online somewhere. I didn't even have my gloves off, and I was just getting pounded. So but I started it, which wasn't smart of me.
Which is probably why hockeyfights.com counted it as a fight.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
all
But
right.
if you look at the voting, I have 0% for a win.
All right. You get to pick here.
Okay.
I know Sadine's probably winning, so I chose Bash Brothers or the Pelon Twins. Which one would you rather play with?
Oh. Well, I'm a big Mighty Ducks fan, so it'd be hard to say no about the Bash Brothers, but they've been great for us this year too. So I got to go with what's working. So I don't want to change anything. I would rather have them in our lineup still than the Bash Brothers.
A little bit more protection in case you get jumped.
right? Like, yeah, they're always out there. They're causing stuff out there,
flying around.
But they've been good for us this year. They've been a huge part of the depth that we've been so successful with on our team. So I'm not going to change a thing. I'd rather keep them than the Bash Brothers.
All right, little Barrie versus PEI here.
Okay.
Flying Monkeys Craft Brewery or any of the known PEI craft breweries?
Flying Monkeys.
TripAdvisor said it's a very staple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's better in Barrie than here.
Oh,
sorry.
Ouch.
That's a big joke on our team. We have a little inner rivalry with the Ontario guys versus the PEI guys. So
Yeah.
any chance I get to crack on PEI, I'll do it.
I mean, ouch. Anyway, there's 13 seconds left in an NFL game. Pick a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes.
You know, as much as a Bills fan I am,
Oh my God, you're not gonna do it.
Patrick Mahomes is the best player that's ever played football.
Mic drop.
I had this conversation in the dressing room the other day. If you put any other quarterback, I mean, Josh Allen, I think, is the closest to Patrick Mahomes, versatility-wise. He can sling the ball.
He's a better runner. I'll give Josh Allen.
And Josh Allen's the only
Talking
quarterback in the
right now.
league that would
Right
take
now.
hits.
Right now?
Talking right now with what?
Like, right now, in terms of Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen being the best two in the league.
There's no... Oh, they are the best two in the league.
Yeah, but you're just talking right now. You're not talking all time, right?
No, not all
Okay,
time.
okay.
Josh Allen can't be there in that conversation if he doesn't win a Super Bowl
Okay.
yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But being a Bills fan, watching him every single game, there's no quarterback in the league like him right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody that takes hits like him on the rush. Like he puts his shoulder down. He's willing to go against anybody.
Yeah.
He hurdles guys. He does all that.
Oh, yeah.
He owns the Chiefs in the regular season, which not a lot of teams can say.
I debate he owns them in the playoffs, too. Your defense just couldn't hold
You know
up
what?
last year.
He played a perfect game last year.
Oh, yeah.
But Mahomes played a perfect game too, and they won the coin toss. That's all that happened.
They don't ask how, they ask how many.
If the
and all
Bills
that
won that
matters
coin
is
toss,
the
it'd be a
rings.
different story.
Did they not
The
lose
rings.
an overtime game that they won the coin toss this year?
Nope, they lost that coin toss against
I'm pretty sure they won.
Minnesota. They lost the coin toss.
Yeah, but they got a possession. And
They did get a possession, but
yeah.
But they lost the coin
Minnesota.
toss.
that was your question, though. If they lost,
Yeah, but they got a possession.
That's like Josh Allen was calling tails away from playing the best football game ever, almost.
Yeah.
Right.
Tails never fails.
But I will say it. I had this argument in the room the other day. I don't think there's anybody like Patrick Mahomes that's ever played in the NFL.
What?
I hate the Chiefs. You got to respect the guy. Like, he's unbelievable.
Crazy.
You're respecting Patrick Mahomes on the
Yeah.
team that drafted him.
Yeah. No, it's and I hope that the Bills play the Chiefs again in the playoffs because it's the best matchup in the NFL right now.
Your only competition.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That is not true. That is not true. But anyways.
You lost to the Indianapolis Colts this season.
Yeah, like, come on.
It was a sleeper.
Anyways, this was the season finale. We hope you enjoyed. You guys can check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And Grant, you want to send these guys out for season 3?
We'll see you in January, folks.